All right, and welcome back to the podcast. You don't even know who's doing the intro. This will be episode 2, talking about Mega Man, and we will open up with what we are drinking today. I have a delicious regular green Monster.
And I'm drinking some sort of a special Jamaican Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah, Jamaican flavored Kool-Aid is what it's
Yeah,
called.
it's actually pretty good. I like it.
So I'm gonna go over the a brief history of Mega Man before we start, and then we'll just get into like bosses and games we like and stuff like that. So Mega Man is a side-scrolling game with lateral movement. It it's very difficult with movement pattern recognition and precise movements required in order to beat your bosses. Mega Man himself is a robot. He was created by Dr. Light and has free will like a human. Kenji Ifune is created as the father of Mega Man, because he created the characters and the box art and pixel, like the actual sprites themselves. But Akira Kitamura created the initial versions of Mega Man and was the director of the first 2 Mega Man games, credited as AK in the game credits. They had a very limited color palette to work with on the NES, which is why Mega Man is blue. All of the bosses are based around rock, paper, scissors rules, meaning once you unlock one attack, you can use that to easily defeat the boss that it's weak against. A lot of the characters have like musical references. Mega Man's real name is Rockman, and then you've got like Roll and Bass and other characters like that. Mega Man 1 did not do well, but Mega Man 2 was a success, which spawned the rest of the sequels. Alrighty.
All right, so Rich, how did you get into the franchise? What was your first memory of Mega Man? And how did you feel about it the first time you were exposed to it?
Well, I'd have to say, I think it was either the first or second game my brother was playing. My brother Eric, he was playing on an NES, I think on our gigantic CRT or projector TV or whatever we had at the time in the living room. And then he let me play with him sometimes, and that's how I kind of got into it. I got into a lot of NES games that way. Like 1942, 1943, we got into it that way. Ghosts and Goblins, stuff like that.
Those some goblins, man. That's a trial by fire getting into gaming that way.
Yeah, I suck at all those games now.
You know, Ghosts and Goblins is one I never actually beat. I beat a lot of tough NES games, but I never owned Ghosts and Goblins though, so that wasn't one I actually really tried out when I was younger either. But
My brother beat it, but you really have to beat it twice to actually get the real ending. So
no, that's right. It's the ABGN
yeah.
show list. Yeah. So what'd you say the first one was?
Either the first or second game, I think. Which the second one is my favorite. I tried to replay it again though, and I suck at old NES games now.
Well, so my first introduction to the series was my cousin when I was a kid. So my grandma used to watch us when our parents were at work or whatever, and he came over one time. His parents, always spoiled him with all sorts of cool stuff. He always had a lot of games,
Right.
a lot more than my family ever did. But he came over with, one of those Tiger handheld games of Mega Man 2.
That's awesome.
And so like I could see like that old art where it was like it looked kind of like a dude dressed up in blue, like holding an actual.
Oh my god!
I would like.
So
That time
I didn't mention in the beginning there, that artwork was created by somebody in America for Americans. That is not the box art that KG Ufune made at all. His box art is more like anime, which makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff that was like there was some miscommunication between Japan and America or something, and they made that really awful artwork.
Well, I really appreciate pretty much anything retro. I like anything classic, and so I appreciate the art.
Like as a classic 80s artwork, yeah, I do like it that way, but as a Mega Man artwork, it's awful.
But like as far back as I can remember, maybe not like right then because that was my first exposure to it. But from the point I realized what Mega Man was on, I hated the fact that he was holding a gun. I was like, dude, in the game, like his arm is on,
yeah,
and I was like, why is he holding a gun in this artwork? It makes no sense. But minor complaint though. Other than that, I like the artwork for it, because it's so classic. But he had that, and so I was always really intrigued. And so I think that maybe, we rented it one weekend. We rented Mega Man 2, and I was like, it seemed so cool.
yeah, too. So
You know, And the first Mega Man I beat, though, I do remember this, was Mega Man 3 because one of my classmates had it and he loaned it to me. And I remember I beat it and I was because Mega Man was so hard. Like I felt so proud of myself I beat this game.
Yeah, first one I beat was 2.
So I did beat 2 eventually, but when I was a kid, like nobody in my family had it. Like I didn't have it, my cousins didn't have it, or
Right.
my uncle who's 2 years younger than me didn't have it. Um, so eventually, on the PlayStation 2, when the Mega Man collection came out, I went through and I beat all of them.
Yeah,
So
I had those. I think I sold them with all my other PS2 games, but I have the Xbox One versions now. So
so what all Mega Man games have you beat? Let's
not
like right now, like you say, like, right now, let's stick to just the mainline series, not getting into X or anything yet. Like Mega Man 1 through 10,
just
or no, 11. Sorry, 11
I think
through
just
11.
2.
Just 2.
Yeah, yeah. I like playing though. I don't. I always like. First of all, I'm not super good at those 2D games anymore, and I didn't really have a lot of those games growing up either. I got to play them when I could, so I didn't actually beat 2 until I played it on the Xbox One.
Mm.
So it was maybe 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah. So, I
Played them
beat.
for fun because I like them.
Do you remember which games are on the Mega Man Legacy Collection Part 1? Is it 1 through 5 or is it 1 through 6?
Isn't it 1 through 4? It's something weird.
Because I beat all those for sure. But then also when I was a kid,
And not even attempt
for
to beat the first one.
so for Christmas, so I beat the third one, and then for Christmas one year, my grandma got me Mega Man 5 for Christmas. So I still have that in a box somewhere. I think unless my parents threw it away. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw the box for that. And so I beat Mega Man 5, and I didn't remember thinking it was as hard as like Mega Man 2 or 3.
This says 1 through 8, but that doesn't sound right.
1 through 8? It isn't Legacy Collection 1? Huh.
Oh, that's because they're not volumes 1 and 2, the old one. The old one is just Anniversary Collection is what it's called on PS2. The newer ones are called Volume 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
So the Anniversary Collection had all of it, and then there was a Mega Man X Collection.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so all right, now I think I take it back then. I think I beat Mega Man 1 through 6. I don't think I ever beat 7 or 8. Because quite frankly, like even like going back, like I played Mega Man 1 and it was hard. Oh, actually, here's something else too, interestingly enough. Like when I was a kid, I got so sick, I went to the hospital. And so I think it was probably shortly after I was exposed to Mega Man 2. I went to the hospital and back then they had this Nintendo system. Like it was sort of like in this, kind of clear box with a TV on top of it, and you could stick your hand in these holes that were big enough for a kid to stick their hand in, but a cartridge couldn't like work its way out. So you could reach in there and put a game in there and play it. And they had
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard, first of all.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you, this
Most
is real.
places that I've ever seen that have things like that, it's one game only in a box connected to a TV on all the time.
Yeah,
Like a McDonald's.
so what's interesting about this is, I specifically remember 2 games I played. One was Mega Man 1 because I was like, "Oh, cool, like Mega Man, awesome." And so I played Mega Man 1, and I remember in the hospital thinking, "Wow, this game is hard." And then they had Rambo, which is the one that, kinda looks like Zelda 2, only it's with
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so I played both those games in the hospital, and, so yeah, I played Mega Man 1, 2 briefly, and then I beat 3 because my classmate loaning it to me. Then my grandma got me 5, I beat that. So then in my later years when that collection came out on the PlayStation 2, I beat, 1 through 6. Well, okay, so here's the thing too, like, back when Toys R Us was around,
Uh-huh.
one time I was in there and they had Mega Man 6 on sale for something as a kid I consider fairly cheap, so my mom let me get it. So I got Mega Man 6 in the box, which I hear was even back then rare. And, so I got that game and I beat it, and I also remember thinking it wasn't as hard as the earlier games I'd played. So I went back through and I played one on the PlayStation 2, and, I beat 1 and 2. Those were pretty hard, and it did kind of seem like the series got a little bit easier, if I remember right, as I moved along,
I think,
uh,
if I remember correctly, you're right.
until 6. And then I played 7, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I remember even, like, as an adult well, so I alright, so when I got Mega Man 7 sorry, I'll let you get a word here. So, I'm getting some like all these memories.
You know plenty back about those than I do.
So
I'm more than happy to talk about Legends after.
so yeah, you're gonna do all most of the talking on that for sure. But like, okay, so when I was a kid, I had a Super Nintendo. Like, I loved Mega Man, right? And so I really wanted Mega Man 7.
Right.
And which, by the way, Mega Man X3 was just as hard to find. Like, I don't think I ever once saw Mega Man 7 or X3 in the store. So they used to have, like, these, catalogs that would have, like, these, used games in there, and you could, like, look it up and, like, call this number and say, "Hey, I wanna order this game." So, one time my mom let me do that with Mega Man 7, and so they just it didn't come with a box, I don't think, but, like, they shipped me, like, the cartridge, and,
Why did it come with the box?
'cause it was used, so I guess,
Oh, okay.
you know?
I didn't know you could buy used things at a catalog. You said have it mailed to your.
Yeah, I forget, like, what it was we were ordering from, but
'Cause I knew there were catalogs where you could buy anything new back before, you ordered on the internet. That was normal, like, you could buy your computers that way and shit.
yeah, yeah.
But I didn't know you could order used stuff through a catalog or
Yeah,
or
yeah, you could, man.
that's wild.
So it's basically like being able to, like, go into a used video game store, only doing it online, and they had a much bigger selection.
Yeah, just be happy your label was probably in good shape. I mean,
I think the label worked like, the card itself was in good shape, including the label, yeah, I just know it did come with a box, unfortunately, but that's okay. So I remember even as a kid playing it, and I was like, and again, maybe it's just me, but, like, something about Mega Man 7, I really just didn't like it, and I thought it was super hard. Like, going from, like, Mega Man 6 to that, like, I was like, the graphics did look better, but I remember playing it, and I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Why is this so hard?" Like, I mean, I remember one stage, I don't remember a whole lot of detail about it, but I went into it as, like, a forest stage or something, and, like, something happens, you go into, like, like, a mid-boss fight before you can get to the final boss,
right.
and I remember him being so freaking difficult, I could barely get past him. And so anyways, I basically gave up on it, because also at the time, like, I had Mega Man X, so I was
Oh,
like
yeah, and that's a way better game.
so I was like playing Mega Man 7 that didn't have as good of graphics as X, and it was way harder, and I was like, I could never get into it. So, Mega Man 5 and 6, I on the Nintendo, I really liked, so but to me, it felt like 7 was somehow like a step back. I don't know what it was, I just didn't like it. But, then 8, I remember 8 looked really good. I think I played that finally on the,
Well,
PlayStation 2.
yeah,
Yeah, because I didn't have a PlayStation, so I couldn't play it when it, came out on
right.
PlayStation, right? Um, but, I don't know what it was about that either. I think it's because I had Mega Man X, already at that time,
It's
and
such a good game.
it just and so I think that's one of the biggest problems because, like, it was way hard it felt they both 7 and 8 felt way harder than X, and they just didn't look as good, so I just couldn't get into it at that point. But I will tell you what I did play
Mm.
was Mega Man 9, and, that game
That was one of the first newer ones, right? Like, after X and everything?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was really excited because I was like, like, they're making new Mega Man games, which I want them to do. But, I felt in many ways disappointed by it because it was really it was really hard, and I beat it, by the way. In fact, like, there was, like, an in-game trophy for beating Doctor Wily in, like, I forget what it was, like, 5 or 10 seconds or something like that, and I did that. Um,
Mm, it has,
but it was
7's 82%. I mean, I guess people kinda like it.
but what I didn't like about it was, it was too retro for me. Like, the artwork looked like it was from Mega Man 1, maybe,
The
eh,
box art's pretty cool. It's a callback.
but I know it's a callback, but to me, it was see, okay, here's the thing with me, like, I like when they take classic
I love the ending in the background, it's like a Tekken character.
yeah. I mean, I agree, it's kinda cool, actually, but, like, I like it when they take classic gaming and perfect it, like, I don't want, like, a clone of Mega Man 1, like, I want, like I want something kinda like they do with Mario RPG where they take that style, they perfect the music, they perfect the graphics, they just make everything is crisp and perfect about it. With that, like, they even took away Mega Man Slide, like, in 9, you can't even slide like you could do in later.
Because I think only ones you can slide in is X, the X series.
No, no, and I forget if it's Mega Man I think it was 3 or 4 when they introduced the Mega Man Slide, where he has, like, that kinda that one leg bent
Oh, it's a wall jump. It's a wall jump, I think they
and wall jumping is
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, like, I'm playing 9, I'm like, "Why can't I at least slide?" Like, I could do that in Mega Man 5, but you're telling me in 9 I can't? And,
They just wanted to make something brutally hard as a nostalgia game, probably. That's what was happening.
yeah, so and, like, then 10, I beat 9, I was so burnt out, like, I started 10, and I was like, I'm just not in the mood for Mega Man 1, like, I'm in the mood for, something that looks and feels good, not kicking my balls and because it's so retro, the controls are just ridiculous. But I'll tell you, I do like I know Mega Man 11's got some hate, but, like, I actually love Mega Man 11 because that is what I've been asking for
Re
all these years.
Thinking of
Mega Man 11 is, like, that's the culmination of everything, like, it feels like Mega Man, it has good graphics, that's the game I've been begging for
Oh, yeah,
years.
this game yeah, the graphics on this game are sweet.
Yeah, there it's
They're like
just
2D 3D kind of.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted for 9 and 10, I wanted it to be I wanted it to feel like Mega Man, be a side scroller, and it can be hard, that's fine, I have no problem with that, like, I like a good challenge, but I just want it to look good and feel like to play smooth, I want smooth controls.
This
You
one
know
did pretty good. 7's 82, 7. I
Yeah,
think I
I
paid
think yeah,
45.
I think that Mega Man 11 is, kind of, I don't think it got quite as much love as it deserved. I mean, getting 7 and 8s is not bad, of course, but, I think that it
It's a lot better. All of them are better than Mighty Number 9. Oh my god.
it's funny you should mention that because dude, I'm talking, like, just earlier this week, like, Mighty Number 9 is one of the games automatically loaded on my PS5 from my PS4, and, I actually deleted it. I decided that it wasn't worth my time to
I mean,
go through.
it's made by Keiji Inafune, but,
Mhm.
like, I don't know, man. I didn't like it. I don't like
Yeah,
the character's design either. Graphically, it's fine. The graphics are very similar to Mega Man 11, but the characters themselves, I don't think look very good.
it felt like it missed the mark somehow. Like, I found myself feeling like when I played that, like, "You know what? I think if I'm gonna spend time on something like this, I'd rather just dive back into the real deal," you know?
Yeah, exactly. I'll just play another Mega Man game.
Exactly, yeah, so literally just a couple days ago, I deleted it from my PS5, and, I don't have any plans or aspirations to play it
Dude, I think I
in the
played it on
future.
PS3 back in the day and was like, "No, thank you."
It's same here, like, when it first came out, I was excited 'cause I was like, "Oh, good." It's like I was so hungry for what Mega Man 11 is right now
Right.
that as soon as I heard this coming out, I pounced immediately.
Yeah, it was Day by Katie, so, like, I
Yes.
assumed it was going to be good.
Same here.
Um,
Well, then I played it and, like, much like you, I was like, "Yeah, it's just not really doing it for me," you know?
I'm so glad I don't think I bought it either. I think I played the demo. I think they had a demo on the PlayStation Store and I played it, or maybe Eric had it or something and I went and played it at his house. But I was like, "This is
Yeah,
crap."
yeah, I went straight to the store and bought it.
No, no.
I think I was living in Pennsylvania at the time. I think that was after I moved from South Bend and before I moved to Cleveland, so I think I was
It was a waste of your money, buddy.
in
Twice, because you have it on PS4 apparently, so
well, no, actually, I didn't, waste money twice because I think it was one of those, crossover purchases or whatever where you got for the PS3 and the PS4,
hmm, I don't think I had anything like that back then.
and then so then automatically just the PS4 version automatically loaded on my PS5.
It's awful, awful, awful. Anyway, so Mega Man X is a terrific game, one of the best, everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah, you even have a tattoo of it if I recall right.
I do have a Mega Man X tattoo. I love the artwork from that game so much. Like, I really like Legends, but a Legends tattoo is gonna look stupid. So, I got X.
Good choice.
The movement in that game is so immediately fun as soon as you start playing. It has the best intro to almost any game to teach you how to play the game as well, which is great. Um, I think Ego Raptor did a whole video on how the Mega Man X's intro is the perfect tutorial to a game ever. It doesn't get in
So
your face, it doesn't stop you, it doesn't talk to you, but it shows you and teaches you a little more subtly, which is really good. And it doesn't make it feel like overbearing as soon as you start. But man, the artwork in that game is so good.
I would totally agree. I mean, in many ways, I think this day, Mega Man X is almost like the perfect Mega Man game. I mean, like, sure, like, Mega Man 11 has better graphics at this point, I'd say, but, uh,
I would disagree.
I mean, from, like, a modern, gaming
If you want it to look
um,
modern, I guess, but I think X's artwork is so beautiful.
but I would say, like, from the perspective of appreciating, classic, pixel art, like, it's about as good as it gets, I mean, it's pretty beautiful. I remember the first time I picked it up, like, it was like magic. I mean, magic that, like, I don't even know if I've really felt since being because it looked so beautiful. Like, it really grips you even emotionally from the very first stage. Like, you're talking about how good it is as just a training intro. Like, I felt like
Oh yeah, it establishes a story, especially by the end of it, because I haven't played it in a while. Who shows up? Does Zero show up at the end?
yeah,
Yeah, I think he shows up at the end, yeah.
he shows up when you're fighting Vile.
Right.
I think his full name's Violin, but,
Well, they're all music. We talked about it. A lot of the characters are based off of music.
in fact, yeah, I mean, we're talking about music later, but, like, the music that plays when you're fighting Vile, for example, I mean, even, like, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Mega
It
Man
was
music in
so
general is really good.
yeah,
I love
I agree.
music, the Mega Man.
It's beautiful.
The intro screen of 2, just Mega Man 2, the dun 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 is so good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, like, when people talk about games, like, they talk about story a lot and graphics and stuff a lot, but I really feel like music is an underrated, and in some ways. I mean, some people appreciate it, but I think in general, generally speaking, the average, gamer or whatever, I think that music is an underappreciated portion of it, you know?
Yeah, we'll get there. We got a whole other episode for that.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm thinking of talking about this, man. There's so much to say.
But man, yeah, but yeah, it establishes the story really quickly and in a great way. Like the other games were just like text, kind of. This one felt more like he was there and you're like interacting with each other, right from the jump, showing you what's going on and really gripping you,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, because you could really feel it, like, when Zero jumps in, like, even just that very first stage, you're going through first of all, like, you're blown away by the graphics and just, how you have these machines, busting holes in the very concrete you're standing on, and
Yeah, aren't they shaped like giant bees or something?
yeah, one of the enemies and the person who's come across a giant bee, which, I mean, I think that there's a picture of that maybe on the box art or something, or maybe it was a magazine. But, like, I remember and it could have possibly been a magazine when I saw it, but I remember one of the first things I saw about that game when I heard it was coming out was a picture of that bee. I think, like, he might have been still flying and shooting at you or whatever, but
The boxer looks like he's underwater.
oh, maybe well,
But
what about the back? What's on the back?
should get
Because the front is him on the underwater against that big octopus in me.
boxer back.
Um,
Mm, oh yeah, she's on the back. The first picture is him shooting a charge blast at her.
yeah,
A giant bee.
man, do I have a good memory or what?
Yeah, that was wild. I can't remember. I don't remember what the back of games look like 90% of the time.
But, like, I mean, I remember seeing that and I was me like, "Wow, this game looks so
I
cool."
feel like I've seen that picture before though. Like maybe it wasn't a magazine too. Might have been in the game before
Well, it probably was, man, 'cause it's such a cool looking,
or an electronic gaming monthly.
yeah, it's such a cool looking enemy, a big, mechanical bee.
Hey, that's the first stage, man.
That's one of the first things you run into is like, wow, I mean, he's huge, he looks cool. So yeah, then you get to, the first fight, and it's a fight you can't win, he's just kicking the crap,
Yeah, literally.
and then Zero comes in and has to save you. I mean, it really does a good job sucking you in and, getting your heart, pumping and or
It also really shows off how badass Zero is.
exactly, and you're like, "Well, like, who is this guy?" Like, you're still I mean, at least at that point, I'm still, like, wondering, like, "Where's everybody else? Like, where's Doctor Light? Where's" because I don't
Jedi Mega Man on a stage.
yeah, I don't really know that I knew the grander story at that point, so it's just like, "Wow, like, who is this? What's going on here?" Um, so yeah, so that game, I'll tell you, that goes back to one of my favorite Christmases ever. My grandma got me, an SNES for Christmas that year, and it was one of the ones that had Zelda: A Link to the Past bundled in.
Oh god, dude, I can't wait to hear
And
Zelda episode.
and it even had like, a
Must be like
sticker.
5 Zelda episodes.
There's a lot yeah, there's a lot of raw Zelda. So, but it had, like, a sticker on the top that said something like, like, it had, like, a really Zelda-esque design with a lot of gold and stuff on there, and it, said The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past included or something like that. So I got that for Christmas. I opened it up and I saw that, and it was one of the most amazing, magical feelings I could have ever felt. And then my dad got me Mega Man X for Christmas on top of that. So,
Damn, that's a banger Christmas.
yeah, dude, it really was. So that's why I say one of the best, if not the best Christmases ever as far as gifts go.
God, I think mine was Pokemon N64 when I was a kid.
No, that's a pretty good one too. Worth a lot of money now too.
Yeah, it's worth a decent amount. I had to rebuy it as an adult, but
What happened to the original one?
no, I had to give it away. I broke my friends when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me a little bit about that before. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so when I became an adult and I started collecting, I bought my own.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like the blue and yellow design on it.
Yeah, that's where I got into Zelda. I don't think I put any Mega Man on it back in the day, unfortunately.
But, like, I thought Mega Man X was so cool. I beat it all the way 100% before I even really started playing Zelda because I love Mega Man X so much.
Yeah, I mean, by then you were already like a big Mega Man fan. You had already played the other ones on NES. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I remember thinking, like, man, like, he's felt so flexible, it's the way he could slide and jump off walls and just the way he moved. Like, it was just, it
Fun
felt
to
amazing.
control, man. He really fun to control for an SNES game on a D-pad. He moves great.
Mhm. Yeah, and then, when you get to the end of the game, Zero, like we're talking about, like, he ends up getting killed. It was just a very heart-wrenching moment, you know, it's just I don't think I was really used to that sort of thing happening too often, you know, in games as a kid. I mean, I guess, like,
No, like,
in
when you beat most games is back then, they were happy endings. You saved the princess,
yeah,
you beat the big baddie, you saved the world. Unless they were trying to screw you over like Ghosts and Goblins, so you gotta beat it again.
that is just bullcrap.
It was stupid, but yeah, but for the most part, I think most games were happy ending.
You know, like, in the Ninja Gaiden series, for example, like, there were oh, excuse me, a few people that don't make it to the end, you know? Like, your dad doesn't make it, you know, you know, there's, like, some other guy that helps you along the way, and the first one doesn't make it, and the second one, there's a excuse me, there's, like, an agent that helps you, and you don't exactly see what happens to him, but he kinda stays behind to fight off the demons,
Right.
and it's kind of inferred that he didn't make it, but it wasn't as emotionally gripping as, like, what happened to Zero, because Zero, you could see him right there, he jumps in, he literally, like, you know, you know, dies fighting
Right.
to save you, you know, and plus, he's just such a cool
God, he's the man.
yeah, such a cool character, so it was just painful to see him go, you know? So, the music it plays when you're fighting Vile is amazing, and then right after that, after you see Zero die, like, it plays, like, this really somber, sad kinda music, or it really just everything about it is very emotional, and, um, it's very, very well made game. Um,
I don't even know too
it
much about the rest of the X series. I think I just played the hell out of X.
well, you know, X2 when X2 came out, like, you could find that one in the stores, I remember.
Right.
I don't remember exactly how I got X2. I think with that one, we rented it in the store back when they stopped video rental stores. There's a place called Hastings. We'd rent to that, you know, sometimes. I'd go visit my dad on the weekends, and sometimes that'd be a treat. He'd let us rent a game. And so I'd usually rent Mega Man X2.
My rentals were from Family Video usually.
Yeah, you know, right now, when I was a kid, I don't remember there being any family videos around me. It was Hastings, and there's like Duncan's Movie Magic, and
And
there used to be Blockbusters, of course.
maybe they were a little more local. We had Hollywood Videos, Blockbusters, and Family Videos. And Family Videos, we still had up until I graduated high school.
Well, dude,
I around for a while.
you still had those up till just a couple years ago because when I first moved here, there was one up by where that Kmart used to be,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and then the Kmart closed also. But yeah, because actually I rented movies there a couple times after I moved to town.
I love
Believe it or
Family
not.
Video.
Me too.
But that's where a lot of my rentals used to come from.
Yeah, I was really sad when I saw that go because there's something nice about the physical component of it. I mean, it's obviously convenient if you can like download games or videos or stream them online, but there's just something nice on a Friday night after work or school or whatever. You go into a video store and you know you're gonna be able to rent something that will entertain you all weekend long.
It was
Man,
cool because Family Video used to have this thing where they had this bubblegum machine, and they would switch what, color was, but you could get a free rental if you got that color that day of the bubblegum.
oh,
So I
nice.
would rent video games that way too. Get a free I'd rent,
That's
like, Simpsons Hit and Run and stuff like that back then.
that's a pretty cool gimmick, you know.
Yep.
I like that.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool even now. Yeah. So I think that Hastings actually, when they were, you know, selling some of their older games, like I think I bought Mega Man X2 then that way. But then Mega Man X3, for whatever reason, you know, I could never ever find at a store. Like I literally never saw it in a store even once. Um,
I don't even think I've seen that many used copies of it.
yeah,
I've been to conventions and stuff.
I think that maybe if I remember right, they came out sort towards the end of the SNES's life or something, so they didn't produce that many.
'Cause I think is it 5? I think 5 starts on PlayStation 1.
X4 starts on PS1.
Oh, is it 4?
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I'm assuming that's what it was then. Probably end of life. Didn't need that many copies, they felt, maybe.
Yeah, but I remember, like, seeing, you know, pictures of the game, but certainly of the box cover art, like, in magazines and stuff, and, you know, Mega Man X is there with, like, a giant hand cannon, and I think if I remember right, like, the opening's kinda, like, square, rectangular shaped, and I remember I was like, "Dude," like, Zero's in the background, like, I think he's, like, jumping off a waterfall with, like, his knee saber, you know, slicing down, and I was like, "Dude," like, it looked so cool, like, I wanted it so bad.
Some badass imagery.
And I asked for Christmas at least one year, and I think my grandma asked her for it, and she said that she went to, like, 10 or 15 or 20 different stores asking. She, like, asked every one of them, like, you know, for that game, and she said that, like, they just be like, "Yeah, like, I don't know why we don't have it, but we don't have it." And, so I think eventually I got that, like, from a catalog, like I mentioned, back when I used to have that. I think I called up and was like, "Hey, I want to order Mega Man X3," and they shipped me a used copy of it.
Well, it sounds like pre-ordering a game would have been actually useful back then.
Yeah, back then it would have been, yeah. For games like this, exactly. Would have been perfect. But so yeah, so I finally got it, and X3 was a great game. You know, you could finally play as Zero. I think that was the first one you could play Zero. So I think in X2 you save him, you can put him back together, but I think he just shows up at the end if you save him,
Right.
or even if you don't save him. Because if you don't save him, I think you have to fight him, the real Zero, because either you put him back together, and oh yeah, so this is how it works. I remember now. So if you find all his parts, you put him back together, and then Sigma's created like a crappy carbon copy of him, and Zero comes in and kills him in one swipe, and then you fight Sigma. But if you don't find all those parts, put them back together,
Then you have to
then
fight the correct.
Sigma put and his minions put him back together. You have to fight the real Zero and put him out of commission. And Zero comes back to his senses and he's like, "Oh, what have I done?"
That's crazy.
And then you fight Sigma anyways. So if you don't save Zero, it's like basically an extra boss fight.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. So in X3, yeah, you can actually play as Zero, but it's not like you just select one or the other. It's like you can summon him in. He kind of will help you for you can play as him for part of the stage or something. It was still really cool that you could finally play as him.
Right.
Um, and then X4, dude, I remember seeing that one in magazines, and there's like this the first picture I ever saw of it was like this big sort of almost like a walking dragon type creature with like these big claws, and he took up like the whole screen. And Mega Man was shooting this charge blast at him. It was kind of green and clear. It almost looked like like gelatin or something shooting at, but it looked really wicked.
That's awesome.
And I just remember like um, the words they put underneath the picture were, "This boss is huge."
That's some 90s shit.
Yeah. But, well, I don't know why I remember that so clearly, but Um, Mega Man X4, I was able to play that for, several years later because I didn't have a PlayStation, right?
Right.
But when I finally was able to play it, I think I got to play a PS2. That's my uncle had a PS2. He didn't want it anymore, so he sold it to me for pretty cheap, and you could play PS1 games on it. So I think one of the first things I did was get Mega Man X4, and that game actually is pretty good. And I would say like X5, like something about it, like it seems like because for one thing, I think X4 actually had like cutscenes where it was like anime scenes, right?
Yeah, I think so. That was part of the draw of switching over to CD anyway.
Yeah, because you could have room for all that
Yeah,
stuff.
because even in Legends they do a little bit of that.
So then with X5, like, they didn't really if I remember right, they didn't really do that. Like, they had, like, cutscenes, but it was, like, mostly just, like, typed dialogue, right? Like, it'd be like a static image with just dialogue as opposed to X4, where it's actually a video you'd watch.
Yeah, it sounds way cooler.
And so I would say, like, as a whole, X5 was actually a really solid game, but I remember thinking, like, "Well, why'd they cut the
Right out.
cutscenes? Why didn't they put actual video in here?"
Like
Like it is X4.
he just looks right. The whole everything just looks right in anime form like that.
Yeah, so but still, X4 and 5 were both, I'd say, pretty magnificent games, and then you can play in Zeros, both of them, and Zero man, Zero in particular looks so cool in those games. Zero looks like he was meant to look, and it's perfect. It's the way he stands and, kinda like, the way he, like, breathes, like, kinda like he's, like, just a hulking menace, just
Yeah,
barely containing his
like
power.
the stance there, you look like comic book Wolverine and like
Um, hmm, which, by the way, X4, man, beating X4 as X, if I remember right, was really tough. X5 wasn't as hard to beat. But then, 6, again, like, this sort kind of gets into, like, what I was gonna talk about, like, Mega Man 7 is as you get deeper in the series, like, there's something about it, like, I played X6 and, you know, I I don't know, like, it wasn't hitting for me, it was something just the way it looked, I don't know, I think the stages were weird if I remember right, there's something about them being, randomized or something, I don't remember exactly, but
it's weird.
I just it didn't really I just didn't like it the way I liked X4 and 5, or even well, I should say X1 through 5, I should say. Like, it's just something about it just it felt off or something. It seemed like just like the quality from X4, X5 went down a bit, like they removed the videos. Like X6, like it seemed somehow like just everything about like the quality had dipped again. And then I got to X7, like I got that for the PS2. And dude, words cannot describe how I even felt about that game in the worst of ways. I mean, like one of the things I always loved about the X series was how good the graphics were. Like they always looked so cool.
Right.
I mean, if you had any other complaints about them, which I generally didn't, at least not till 6. You know, like, I would always say they look so good. That's how I want Mega Man to look, right? But with 7, like, and they went all 3D, like, it just I mean, I don't remember, I think part of it was side scrolling, I don't remember, but, like, I think, like, it'd be partially side scrolling, but then a lot of it was 3D and the art was just not good.
Hmm.
I did you ever play X7?
No, I'm not. I don't think I played anything past X1 in the X series.
Okay.
I have more experience with weirder Mega Man games, like the Legends series. I just rebeat the first one. I played a lot of Battle Network when I was growing up, which are really good series.
Yeah, you have to tell me your thoughts on Battle Network because I have no experience with Battle Network.
Well, I mean, Battle Network used to be really fun. Instead of Mega Man being like a robot, he is he's Mega Man EXE, so he's a computer software.
So he's just a
And he fights yeah, he fights viruses, which is really cool. Um,
so is this like the antithesis of the actual Mega Man, or is this a different is he separate from
no, he has nothing to do with the other Mega Man at all. He's not a robot at all. I think he's actually called Mega Man EXE, like a file type. I like them a lot. You basically fight on this, I think it's a 12 by 3 grid system, and you have like this deck. I forget exactly what they call them, but it's like old deck, like a deck building game. And you draw so many, and then you can move, and then you can use one like, oh, this is my like charge blasting, charge blasts out and does X amount of damage. It's kind of like a mix of an RPG sort of.
when you say X amount of damage, you mean like
Whatever,
is
it's
it
that
earlable or you mean Mega Man X? I'm just kidding.
yeah, and then there's like you would have like a card that's like for his energy blade, and then you move him up to get close enough on their grid, and then he would use it. Um it was really interesting, and I thought that it was good, and at the time while I was playing it, I was still a kid, and the anime was out the game was based off of the anime or vice versa, whatever. It was the same, it was the same characters and stuff, same world. So I was really into those. They were on the Game Boy Advance, I think.
Okay, so who created this Mega Man.exe?
I do not remember, actually. I think it was the main character's dad or the
I
ma
mean, what was he? Was the creator tied to Dr. Light or any of the well, like any of the Mavericks from Mega Man X? Was this something like maybe the Mavericks created to
wow, Mega Man Battle Network. Let's see. Players control yeah, his name is Mega Man EXE. Um Lan is the boy that's in the real world that you play as. Um oh, interesting. Okay, so there's a character, there's a twin brother that died and had his data reincarnated as Mega Man EXE.
oh wow, that goes dark, man.
Yeah, and Lan is the one who uses him and controls him.
So Lan is the
It's the main
twin
character.
brother of the guy who died.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's deeper and darker than I would have ever guessed.
I think so. Don't quote me. Like Roll is even an EXE in this game as well. She's cool because she gets an actual like Mega Man. She's like a Mega Man character. Like she gets a suit, I think. Let me look her up. I'm pretty sure she's got a pink suit. Roll dot
Yeah, well, she was a robot in the original.
Yeah,
Wait,
but she doesn't look like okay, at least in Legends anyway, because that's what I just replayed. She doesn't look like a robot like Mega Man kind of does. She just looks like a girl. But like in this game, Roll EXE looks like that.
Oh, wow, pretty cool.
She looks kind of like a robot or whatever.
Well, wait, so what was the dog in the original Mega Man called?
What's his name? Rush? I think his name's Rush.
Oh, Rush. Okay, yeah. Rush, and then the girls roll. Okay.
Yeah, Rush was the dog.
Um,
EXE. And then this is what he'd look like in the Battle Network series.
oh, he looks young and skinny. I guess if you're in the machine world, you can look like whatever you want, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the digital world.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty cool game. I feel like nobody ever talks about it. That and Legends. I feel like nobody ever talks about Legends either. Definitely not Legends 2. Good look. And then anyone who talks about Trombone is just about how expensive that game is. It's like $800 for an open copy.
What is trombone?
It's a prequel to Mega Man Legends where you play as Trombone, the
Oh
the
yeah.
bad girl from the game.
Oh yeah. I never even heard that one.
Incredibly expensive. Super rare.
Well, you know, I was like getting back to Mega Man X series here. I almost forgot there was that Mega Man X RPG. I forget what they called it, but it was I think it was like Mega Man X something missions, um, or something like that. That was actually a pretty good game. I actually enjoyed that more than I did either Mega
Command?
Mission Command, yeah,
Or Command Mission, sorry.
or Command Mission,
Yeah.
yeah. That was actually a pretty good game.
The hero looks dope in this game.
Yeah, that was, in my opinion, that was actually that's probably better than Mega Man 6, 7, or 8.
Oh, dude, this is like a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I gotta go play this. I've never even heard of it.
Dude, yeah, it's worth getting into, man. It was um I don't think I ever actually beat it all the way, but like when I did play of it, like I remember being pretty impressed. Like I think the reason I didn't is because it was kind of I started playing it like when I was in college, maybe, and there's a lot of turmoil going on. Like I had moved from the dorms or something, and then was getting an apartment and all that kind of crazy stuff, and it just was kind of a wild time where I was never really focused on it necessarily. But
Yeah, everyone seems to be calling it like underrated. No one talks about. Apparently it's another game no one talks about.
yeah, yeah. So that's in fact, man, that's what I really want to play all the way through. Now we're talking about, but I remember really liking it. It was well made from what I saw. Um, but yeah, I would say like getting back to 8, like I felt like the series kind of took a dip from 4 to 5, then a dip in quality from 5 to 6, huge dip from 6 to 7, and then when going into Mega Man 8, like that was an increase in quality at least from Mega Man 7, but
They should have come. They should have put that game on the X collections. It's apparently not included in any of the
animations.
Yeah, it's not included in the new one or the old one.
That is a shame
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
because I would love to play that on the PS5.
Yeah, I'm super interested now. I think I'm gonna go emulate it.
Yeah, because now you're mentioning it. Yeah, how am I going to play it? If I can't just download on PS5, that's going to be a little more hassle than
Yeah, they should. I don't know why they don't. They should put it out though.
they for sure should.
But maybe because nobody talks about it.
That's probably why. Very very underrated game.
I would buy a Battle Network compilation too with all the Battle Network games. That'd be super cool to play.
Don't they have a collection 1 and 2 for that?
Did they?
Pretty sure they do. I think I've seen something like that on the PlayStation Store, because those are the only Mega Man games that they have on the PlayStation Store that I haven't bought. And the only reason I didn't is because I just wasn't real familiar with them, and I figured I'd just beat the other Mega Man games before I consider that.
It's a totally different type of game as well. Oh my god, they did.
Yeah, that's what.
It's on Switch,
Is,
PS4.
is there a collection 1 and 2 for that?
Let me see if there's a second one.
I was thinking there was.
I'm not seeing one.
Okay, well, maybe just
There's a Mega Man Zero/ZX.
oh yeah, the ZL.
Collection. What
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah.
Oh, this says it's on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, Mega Man Legacy Collection Volume 2. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I got all of them except for the HAL Network collection. But I'll probably get it eventually, just because I'm such a huge Mega Man fan. I'll probably just do it.
They're really cool.
Try them out.
Pretty interesting.
But like get back to Mega Man X8 real quick. Like I for the most part, yeah, that's what you're talking about. Pretty cool. That does look pretty cool.
Yeah, there's like cards that let you take over their territory too, so you can move even closer to them, which corners the boss and pushes them back.
It's turn based.
Yeah, you can move around, but like you playing your card is turn based, which is your attack.
Yeah, I like tactical games like that.
It's pretty interesting.
I mean, it seems sort of like Tactics Ogre, a little different, of course, but because that's like a smaller grid versus just a map you're on. But
yeah, if you like Tactics Ogre, you should probably play Final Fantasy Tactics as well.
I've heard great things about that. That's one I really want to get into. Didn't they have a remake of it for the Game Boy Advance or something?
They might even have a newer one now.
Because
Game.
yeah, because I mean I love Tactics Ogre. I love that kind of game. So I think it'd be probably something I enjoy. I mean, speaking of that sort of thing, not to get into this too much, but Ogre Battle 64 is one I would really love to see re-released. Maybe with a little bit of remaster so it looks good on a HD TV. That's another highly underrated game, in my opinion.
I guess there isn't any more one. There's an official PC release of it, then. That's weird. But anyway.
And that's one thing I would buy in a heartbeat is if they came out with some sort of Final Fantasy Tactics collection, which I don't know how many of there are, but just the one, that's it.
Mhm.
Well, if it came out on PS5, I would totally buy it immediately because I love tactical games. But yeah, so you never played Mega Man X8. I wish you had so I could hear your thoughts on it. But like I felt like it was an improvement over X7. But you know, some of the things I loved about like going back to X1, like when I played that, like I felt like he was so flexible and smooth. There's something about just the way he looks and moves. Like the graphics weren't that great. Like Mega Man X, just to me, he just feels kind of stiff. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. I mean, I do like Mega Man X8.
I mean, he's really stiff in Legends, but that's a totally different type of gameplay.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be some super advanced robot of the future.
No, I
Oh,
mean,
he's kind of
he's a robot, but I don't know. He's not like slidey or super fast or anything. It's weird when you put him in a 3D space. Like I like the game and I think it has a special charm. But the controls of the game are not great. And but it has RPG elements. Like you buy and equip different equipment to make them stronger. You find different stuff throughout the game that role makes into more equipment for you. You can upgrade your buster with different stuff like to increase your power or how fast you shoot it and how much your range is and stuff like that.
yeah. I love stuff like that in games in general, but especially for a Mega Man game, I feel like that's an essential part of it, right?
But targeting and moving is very stiff and very clunky. Like once you played it for a little bit, you kind of get used to it, but it's not like jumping and fun to control like X was.
Mm. Yeah, that's probably why it didn't have as much traction as some of the other Mega Man games.
I like the way the
That
world
was
looks
more
though. For a 3D game, back then, I think it still holds up pretty good in my opinion. I like the art style. I just think I didn't get him as a tattoo because it looked weird.
yeah, I feel like that whole era, of certainly the PS1 and N64 stage
Mhm.
of 3D graphics, like, it's just that sort of awkward phase where, at least for me personally, like, most 3D stuff from that era doesn't appeal to me that much. I
Depends on the
mean,
game to me.
it
Mario 64 I think still looks good. Mega Man Legends looks good. Um like Resident Evil I think still looks pretty good in my opinion.
well
Silent Hill 1 looks awful. I just tried to play it and I was like, this is not good.
so, what I would say the difference is from that era with a game like Resident Evil or even like Final Fantasy 9, which, as you know, is one of my favorite games ever,
Yeah, 9's pretty good.
because there's a lot of 3D,
11 is great too. It looks good.
that's what I still have to play one of these days, but yeah, it's 9, and I played all the way through that one. I love that game. So the difference is, like, while the 3D models were still there, right, they still did what I want to see with pretty much any modern game. Like, they maximized everything, like, mainly the backgrounds. Like, the backgrounds looked crisp and beautiful, and, so I didn't really mind the fact that 3D models were a little bit, less desirable because everything else looks so great. And, like, you go into menus, like, the menu like, in Final Fantasy 9, for example, like, the menus looked so cool and the sound effects, and, so, I didn't mind that the character I was running around as looked like a crappy 3D model.
Well, they changed it actually because I think 9 looks a lot better than 8. 8 looks awful. Every character looks like they tripped and fell into a sensor bar, and they look like a
Well,
mishmash of like a sensor.
I know what you're talking about. I think maybe part of the difference is that, like, the characters in 9 were kinda, like, shrunken, kinda, like, they weren't these big, tall characters, like, in Mega or Final Fantasy 8, like, they were a lot taller, right? I don't know if I don't know if it was actually just, like, a drop in quality, like we're talking about the X series doing, or if it was maybe just, like, the difference in design, being a taller figure.
Trying to yeah, I think they were trying to go for a more realistic style, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
2D games on the PlayStation look amazing. They look like I can't think of a single 2D game that didn't look good on the PlayStation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Because the
mean,
art style, they had already perfected it, and they had all this extra power They can make
Yeah.
it look even better.
I mean, like, the first 2 games come to mind, we're talking about, 2D graphics on the PlayStation were, of course, Symphony of the Night. Looks great, especially on an old CRT TV, and actually, I forget what it was. Was it Secret of Mana, Legend of Mana? Whichever one came out for the PlayStation.
I think that one's secret. Chrono Trigger looks great too.
Yeah, I re that which say what do you think it was Legend of Mana?
I think it's secret. Hold on.
Secret, yeah. Well, I actually really liked that game. I thought it looked great. I loved the graphics on it. Like, it looked like you were stepping into a fairy tale. Um, I mean, there are lots of downsides to that game,
Oh, it is
but
Legend. My bad.
okay, yeah, Legend of Mana, like, I love that game just because the like I said, the art style is gorgeous. It really feels like you're picking up a gorgeously, painted fairy tale, and you're stepping into it.
Yeah, and then I think that's another reason why the X games looked good on um PlayStation 1 is because they kept the more 2D style,
Yeah,
and that's why Legends looks so weird to a lot of people.
yeah. You know, so as I mentioned, there were some disappointments, along the path there. But to me, I think that one of the this point me in a different way because, like I said, the 3D graphics for the PS1 era and the PS or the N64 era, just didn't really appeal to me that much. So I got Mega Man 64. I think for Christmas, probably for 1 year, and I started playing it.
It's on there if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it might. So I remember playing that, and I was just like, man, like it just didn't appeal to me. I just didn't really like it. So I never beat it. Now, some games like Mario, like, even like the 3 graphics weren't sometimes super thrilled about, like, I still enjoyed the game, I still liked it, Zelda, I still really enjoyed that. Star Fox, that actually Star Fox,
Star Fox 64 is great.
something about the graphics on that, like,
It's just a remake of the first game, I think. But
no, 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 it's a sequel.
is it a sequel?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was a remake of the first game. Or
No, it's a sequel. Um,
hmm.
that for something about that, the way they did the 3D graphics on that, like, it was perfect, like, that's one of the rare games, like, I never had a single complaint about, like, because with Mario, I was like, "Man, like, why are his hands, like, they look like balls?" You know? And, but with Star Fox, like, hey, they did it so perfectly, it does look great. I love Star Fox. That's a good example of where I could appreciate 3D graphics from that era. Um, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, if you blended it with, like, beautiful backdrops and stuff, Resident Evil 2 on the N64 was my introduction to that series. I love that. But yeah, Mega Man 64, like, I couldn't get into it. Now, granted, that was also I think I got that towards the end of my time. I was living at home and starting to go to college, so that could have been part of it too. Because, like, I just wasn't really at home and able to focus on it and stuff, so, um, but I look back on it and I don't remember it fondly. I don't dislike it the same way I did Mega Man X7, for example. Because, like, Mega Man X7, like, I look back on that game, that's probably, like, the low point of the entire series in my opinion. Where, I mean, even, like, Mega Man 64 is way better than that, you know?
Well, like I just replayed and beat Legends, and I still think it's really good and really fun, and the characters are really funny as well. They got like a little bit of like slapstick and like trombone kind of has a like they're all teenagers, right? So like Roll,
Yeah.
Trombone, and Mega Man, they're all teenagers. So she kind of like has a crush on Mega Man, which I think is funny, and she gets that like anime cute pouty when she loses to Mega Man. I think it's very charming. It's very fun.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I didn't, like, hate the game, because, like, it's just kind of a bright game if I remember, like,
It's very right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and, like,
Lots
so
of
it's
yellows, blues. I think there's a lot of greens in it too. So
so it's like, I mean, it's kinda like the equivalent of, like, the video game version of, like, stepping out on, like, a bright sunny day, like, it kind of, in a way, like, feels good to pick it up just 'cause it just like you mentioned, like, some of the charm, it's the way
it
characters.
it's on an island, right, initially, so, like, that's where all those bright colors come from. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, so I guess, like, when I look back on it, now we're talking about this, I'm remembering just some of the things about it, like, it wasn't a terrible game, in my opinion. It was again, like I said, it was significantly better than, like, Mega Man X7, which, I don't have any desire probably to ever play again.
I just started Legends 2, and it's very similar to Legends 1, but it takes place kind of in, like, a snowy mountain, so the color
Okay.
palette is not yeah, so the color palette's not nearly as well, at least at the part I'm at anyway. It's a there's a lot of whites from the snow, a lot of whites, grays, browns, but that kinda makes Mega Man stick out because he's blue. but I don't know. It's
It's
okay so
different.
far. Yeah, the story doesn't seem as interesting so far either, which is probably why
Well,
nobody ever talks about the second game.
well, it was kind of interesting too. I mean, one thing that did kind of stick out to me about that was like you could, if I remember, like you like go like to a mall or something in stores and stuff, right?
Yeah, so in the first game, the entrance to the city is basically like a strip mall, but inside, like, there's Japanese ones they actually have. And you can go inside the stores and, like, listen to the soundtrack and stuff like that, yeah.
That was something else that was kind of neat about it too, because like I'd never done something like that in a Mega Man game.
Yeah, walking around talking to
You know,
people and
because at that point, I'd even played, the command mission game or anything. So that was like the most, you know, uh, RPG-esque I'd experienced in a Mega Man game.
yeah, it was
Oh,
definitely the most different, and, yeah, it has a lot of, like, basic, RPG stuff, nothing crazy.
yeah. So I mean, that was one I might be willing to go back and give it another whirl one of these days.
You absolutely should. I think the first game is worth playing for sure.
Okay, so of course we were talking about Command Mission not being on the PlayStation Store but
There
are
are
budgets
so
there?
I think you might be able to do a digital download of it. Yeah. See.
Because especially if there's trophies in there, I might be willing to give it another shot.
No,
Like
stop
how
worrying about trophies.
you know me, I can't resist. So, well, let me ask you this: like, how difficult would you say Mega Man Legends One is?
As long as you do your upgrades right and you actually look around and collect everything, it's really easy.
Oh, easy. Okay.
Yeah, if you don't get any of your upgrades and stuff and you're just there's a couple bosses even with your upgrades that are kind of hard, and Mega Man Juno, the end boss, is very hard. But the rest of the game is not too bad. It's pretty
So,
easy once you get a hold of the controls. Because at first the game is a total pain in the ass while you're trying to figure out how to even play it. But after that, it's totally fine.
even though they're essentially the same game, right? I think it'd be cool if they came out with the Legends collection where you had Legends One and Two, and then even Mega Man 64 specifically on there.
Well, they should include Trombone too,
Oh, and yeah,
because
exactly.
that game is so expensive because there's no other way to play it.
I mean, so you could have a four-game collection, and I think that'd be worth, 20, $30, whatever. Certainly
Yeah,
20.
no, I think I'd pay 30 for all three, $10 a game.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Um,
does not look like there is a way to play it on the newer stuff right now.
that's a real shame. And I
I
mean,
just searched the PlayStation Store too, just to see if there's like a PS1 Classics version or something, and it's not there.
yeah, it's like I know they have a lot of the PlayStation or yeah, the PlayStation 3 games available on there if you upgrade your PlayStation subscription enough, but it sounds like that's not available.
Nintendo should add the 64 version to the N64 Switch stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, they should. And like what I don't really understand is like you can get a lot of these games via emulation for free online if you know where to look. So why can Nintendo not put this out there when they're for a price they'd be making money on? You know what I mean? Like how can these people in their free time do this, but a company getting paid for it can't seem to do it?
They actually, speaking of emulation, they shut down a couple Switch emulators, and I believe one of them they kind of bought as well. So they technically own a Switch emulator.
Oh, that's actually
I'm
kind of
not quite
encouraging.
sure what they're doing with that. If it has something to do with Switch 2 or not, I don't know. But
I don't know, but like I actually kind of like hearing that just because like there's potential they could utilize it, and I mean, because like like Ogre Battle 64, for example, is another one I would love to see, brought to the digital store.
right.
I mean, it'd be great if we could play like Mega Man 64, Ogre Battle 64. A lot of these games just aren't available anywhere now.
The crazy thing is the Wii.
I'd pay for them.
I think the Wii had a lot of like old games that you could re-download, like buy.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't just keep doing that.
Well, they had some unique ones too that, to my knowledge, aren't available anywhere else. Like one of them being, there's another Rebirth game. I forget what it was, but one for sure was Castlevania Rebirth, and I don't think I've seen it anywhere except for on the Wii.
It's not on any of the collections or anything.
Not so far.
Hmm.
I wish. I mean, I'm not saying it was like the greatest Castlevania ever, but I mean, it was a worthy addition to the collection. It was. I mean, if I remember, I beat it or I got pretty close to it. If not, it was a good game. Yeah, yeah. It's really a shame when you have these series like that and some of these kind of more peripheral games, kind of fall, out of the vision of. of the companies that made them, they just get forgotten about, you know?
Oh, it happens
I
all.
don't even like
Capcom and Konami are like two people who were the worst at it for a while. And then Capcom's
a
gotten
lot
it
better.
back. Yeah, they got them better now. Konami still is like awful.
Well, yeah, I mean, not to get too off topic here, so we're talking about Mega Man. So, like, one game from Konami I really want to see aside from Castlevania Rebirth is Gradius 5. Like, I mean, of course, I can whip out the PS2 if I want to play it, but or even I think it was re-released on the PS3 maybe, but only on the PS3. Like, it's not one of the ones you can get on the PS5 with their PS3 collection or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so right now I have no way to play it with my current setup, and I want to play that game again so bad.
Well, I'm excited to see Konami stepping in the right direction right now with Silent Hill 2. Supposedly is great. So,
Me too.
um, I'm hoping that they're taking like advice or notes from Capcom on what they've been doing.
Well, something else they did recently too, which I am hoping is a step in the right direction. It's kind of in line with what they've been doing, but I'm hoping it's, maybe they'll earn money on it and they'll say, oh, maybe we should do more of this. Is like,
Yeah.
just released a whole bunch of the Mega Man or not Mega Man, I mean Metal Gear.
Oh yeah, the Metal Gear collections have been coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they're gonna say, okay, well, like these Castlevania collections are making us money, the Metal Gear collections are making us money, the Silent Hill remake is making us money. Maybe getting back into actually making games again is not a bad idea.
Yeah, instead of making Silent Hill the pachinko machine.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was annoying.
I mean, I hear in Japan those make them a lot of money, but I mean that's
Yeah, they do, but still, like
like
you're in control of all of this actual great pieces of art.
this
And now
beautiful like
you weren't doing anything with.
yeah, that's what I don't understand because like why can't you do both? Like okay, these Panchico machines, all this other garbage are making you money in Japan, great, but why can't you do that and still make new games? Like why can't you go the route of Capcom? Like they're I mean I love what Capcom's doing right now actually because not only they have a lot of these great collections out, but like with Mega Man, they brought it back with Mega Man 11. I mean Mega Man's back, baby. I mean I love it. And I mean of course Resident Evil has been back for a while.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
they've been crushing it with Resident Evil.
Oh, dude, they're doing great, dude. Resident Evil is the perfect example of how to do a franchise. The only this is a nitpick. The only complaint I really have about what they're doing with Resident Evil right now is I wish that they would make the original games more readily available. Like, I mean, in particular, the original Resident Evil 3 with the Nemesis, because the remake is so different. I think that it is worth going back and playing the original because, like, just the way Nemesis looks and sounds is very different, and they cut a whole bunch of content for Resident Evil 3, the remake. It's going back to the original, despite the 10 controls, is actually worth it.
I'm surprised they haven't done an actual remake of the first game. They've got that like remaster, but that's
The
not
one they
the
did for the
same.
GameCube.
It's
And
yeah, well they ported it up. It's the same. I have it.
oh, yeah, yeah, it is,
Yeah, I have.
released on the newer systems, yeah.
Mine comes with 0 and the first game.
Well, I mean, I'm kinda guessing at some point they're going to do a remake of the remake and, like, make it more, like, 3D, like
Yeah, I want 'em to make it in the RE engine, yeah,
yeah.
which is an amazing game engine.
But it is, I agree, but I gotta say this, though, about the Resident Evil remake, 'cause, I mean, probably nobody knows a bigger fan of Resident Evil than me, right?
Right.
But the remake of Resident Evil 1 is fantastic, actually, like, it is really well done.
It's
I mean,
exactly the
even though
same, just prettier.
yeah, exactly, and oftentimes, that's exactly what I want for my, not my remakes, but, like, my sequels, like, I want them like the old games, only perfected,
Well, you know what they should do? They should take the RE engine and make brighter graphics for it
Mhm.
instead of, like, the dark stuff, and then make Mega Man Legends in the RE engine. I would
Dude, I would
so pay
I was like
I would pay full price for that.
right in my mind, I was literally gonna say
Like, I would pay
so
70, give me.
So, like how I usually work my games, because I mean, as you've alluded to, like I'm kind of behind on my gaming catalog. So,
Yeah, I got a backlog and you have, like, a negative game.
dude, I really think I tell people this all the time, like I have enough games, even if I bought nothing new, to last me a lifetime because there's so many games out there. Um, but yeah, so like generally how I do it, and it's easy for me because I have such a big backlog anyways, like I'm gonna be waiting anyways, but um, like I usually wait till games go on sale. Like a $50, $60 game, like I'll wait till it goes down to $20 or less, then I'll buy it, right?
Me, it
But
depends. Some companies I like the support right out the gate.
yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. Like with some games, with some companies, I prefer to I like to buy them, right when they come out, just to support the company and to show, to put my money where my mouth is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if they came out with a new Castlevania today, I would intentionally pay full price to make a point, you know? I mean, sure, like, maybe it's my voice is almost nothing, but I still wanna play my part in, showing these companies, like, what we want, you know? So,
That's one of the reasons, I started going to the Sonic movies in theaters because I felt like they deserved my money after fixing the characters and making them look right. Every Sonic movie I've been to theaters to see it so far.
yeah, that's a great example of them doing a franchise right. In fact, the new Mario movie is another great example of them.
That movie's really good.
Dude, it's fantastic. I mean, that's a game like, or a movie, I mean, a movie based off a game that, like, I really can't think of um, any critiques. I mean, I,
A lot of people didn't like Seth Rogen playing Donkey Kong, I guess.
well, he did a good job, I felt.
I think he did fine. For the
Um,
type of movie that it was, what they were going for.
I mean, I feel like everybody did a pretty good job with the voice acting, and, yeah, at first, actually, before I went into it, like, I was not thrilled about the guy who's gonna be doing Mario simply.
But yeah, since Chris Martinet is still alive, so, like, why wasn't he Mario? He's
Well, yeah,
been
exactly.
30 years.
Yeah, I was like, why not have, the person that actually does the voice of Mario be the voice of Mario? So, at first, I went into it kinda thinking, "Oh god, they definitely screwed it up. They can't even get that right. How could they got the rest right?"
Chris Pratt did pretty
But
good.
he did great, actually. He did great. As soon as I went in and the movie started, it completely laid my fears to rest. I was like, this is, yeah, he did the role well. He did a good job, and everything was done great. They treated the source material with love and respect it deserved.
Right.
Everything looked the way it should. The story was well done. The voice acting I thought was great. You know, I remember, in the movie, like, we got the part with the Kongs, like, the Kongs seemed so tough. I was like, I remember thinking, I was like, "Dude," I was like, "Bowser's in real deep crap now," because, like, 'cause early in the movie, it shows him fighting those wimpy penguin type
Oh
creatures.
my god, that was hilarious.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, Bowser's minions are gonna get the crap kicked out of them if they go against the Kongs, right? But then you see his troops actually coming and attacking, and they're actually kicking the crap out of the Kongs. I was like, wow, I was like, this is amazing. I now, granted, I mean, that was, on Rainbow Road or whatever, where, it wasn't exactly an even fight, like, and mano a mano, fist fighting, but still, it was, I don't know, I thought it was really cool, just very well done.
Alright.
So, so the last thing I would say about Mega Man here.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're at our 1 hour mark. It's almost time to record the next episode.
Okay, so I'll wrap this up by saying this then. Some of the stuff we were talking about, I just want the series, perfected. Like, that is what I want for the next Mega Man game.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'll give you all
Heaven.
ideally, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, ideally, maybe not even a Mega Man 12, but like a Mega Man X, what are they on now? Would be Mega Man X9, right?
Something like that, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, or like a command mission even, just something where they're taking, the franchise or even like a Mega Man Legends like we're talking about, it was imperfected, like, make it look the way Resident Evil 4 does.
I guess they were supposedly making a Mega Man Legends 3, but it got canceled or something.
Yeah, refire up that project and make it, like you said, make it with a Resident Evil engine, make it look like Resident Evil 3 remake, a Resident Evil 4 remake,
Smoothly now that
or a Resident
we're
Evil.
dogs,
Yeah, make it move smooth, make it look great,
I
just,
think people will love it, dude.
put a good story in there, like, add some of the emotional, ripping stuff in there like we talked about for Mega Man X, and, it could be a recipe for something great, I think.
I think so too, but, I'm not in charge of Capcom.
I'm not either, but Capcom.
But they have been crushing it, so maybe if they put some of that Resident Evil energy into our, Mega Man.
Mega Man, they could do good things. I mean, Capcom, I have confidence in Capcom's ability to do great things with their IPs,
Yeah, I think
and,
so now too.
I don't know, I'm optimistic for the future, like, for all their franchises. I think we have great stuff coming for Resident Evil still. I'm sure more Mega Man's coming at some point.
If they were smart, yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, are there any other franchises they have that maybe we're waiting on some good stuff for? You
Um,
can think of?
I can't remember if there's anything else that they're
Well,
cool.
because like, they did Dino Crisis, right?
God, I want them to bring it Dino Crisis back.
So Dino Crisis would be another good game for Capcom to use the Resident Evil engine to perfect and make a good sequel for.
I mean, they do a lot of stuff with, like, Monster Hunter.
Oh, yeah, they did the Monster Hunter games, that's right. Well, yeah, okay. But I think they're already kinda doing that with Monster Hunter, right? I mean, they're making some good.
Well, yeah, supposedly. I'm not super into the Monster Hunter series.
Me neither. Me neither.
I have played some, but yeah, they keep making new ones. Like apparently, there's another one coming out in February,
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it's good news. So
and they're fighting games. They got a new fighting collection coming out next year too.
oh, that's right. Yeah, like Street Fighter's Capcom,
Street
right?
Fighter, Final Fight, a bunch of.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so like they're really crushing it with their IPs right now. So the more they're successful with all these IPs, I think the more likely we are to see them do stuff with,
They're
you know,
putting a digital version of Resident Evil Director's Cut on the PS5 store.
really,
Yeah, apparently Dino Crisis just hit the digital store too.
really. Yeah, because that'd be another good one. I'd
They
love
got a
to see.
Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection as well. Oh, I forgot they do Ace Attorney. I've heard that series.
Oh, they do Ace Attorney. Yeah, I haven't played this either, but I've heard good stuff about.
Dragon Drzagmo apparently is theirs too.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, but Ace Attorney, there's collections of that on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, there's another
Thought about getting before, but
some other collection that's coming out for it too soon.
Ace Attorney is one that they did pretty good memes of on X, by the way.
I've never heard of this Mega Man game. Mega Man X Dive Offline.
What? Yeah, I've never heard that either. What is this some stuff for?
It's just says, oh, that's why it's Steam, iOS, and Android.
Okay, yeah, that would be wild.
Came out end of last year, supposedly.
Okay, but yeah, the very last thing I will say is if they did do something like that, like where they take the Resident Evil engine and like they like with the Dino Crisis, I'd probably even pay full price for a Dino Crisis just to show support for the franchise. But certainly with Mega Man, if they made a new Mega Man game with the Resident Evil engine, or even like a Mega Man X, with like the perfection of that was Mega Man 11, like I'd pay full price immediately, day one.
Oh yeah, they made Onimusha, which is a game series I've been telling you to play forever, because Onimusha is just Resident Evil with samurais. Okay, it's amazing. It's got
Oh,
like full tank controls.
I did do remember hearing about that. Yeah, okay.
I love the Onimusha series, and that would be another one they need to, because they remade the first one, but they haven't remade the rest of them yet.
Imagine that with the Resident Evil engine. Wait, when you say remade the first one, you talking like with the Resident Evil engine or?
No, it's just a remaster
Okay.
thing. I have it on PlayStation, 4 and 5 because it carries
Okay.
over.
Yeah, so that would be another game that'd be great to see.
That game goes on sale all the time if you want to check out the first one.
Is it?
I think I paid $20 for it originally.
Was that tank controls or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, it's hard to get back in those games with the tank controls.
I have to be in the mood.
You have to be in the mood, right?
But I think that should be it for our Mega Man episode here. We'll go ahead and record another one at the very least. So this way we got something for everyone to listen to. Alrighty, well, I am Nomad, and that was Brewski. Thank you for tuning in.
Later.